Public, so when you run the pipe, we can all hear it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was washing dishes.
Okay.
So yeah, I was actually gonna be as a listener.
Oh,
'Cause,
honey,
yeah.
we live next door to each other. You're gonna talk today. Yes.
I'm gonna be as a listener. Mommy's busy.
So when
But
you
yeah,
when you have to tend to the children, just mute your mic.
Yeah, I was looking for that. How do I
The
mute
mic
myself?
is the mic is at the very bottom.
I got it. I got
You
it.
got it. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So thank you for joining us, Surrender. Very interesting topic. I think most of us have somewhat experienced some of what Laverne was introducing. Certainly, it has definitely had an impact in my life to some extent. I'm sure that this is not only, it goes for whichever community you're from. Yeah. Certainly. That's true. That's true. I'm interested to know more and learn more. I was like, okay, what is this all about? But when she explained it, I actually get it. 'Cause, yeah, when it comes to religion, I have a lot of questions.
You find a lot of us have a lot of questions. No matter how long we've been part of any one particular group, we still have a bunch of questions. Especially when we sit down and talk with another group, you have questions because it's time to learn that you are not holding on to all of the truth. You only have a fraction of the truth, right? So when we're patient and listen with from the mindset of wanting and willing to learn, then we can grasp a better understanding of how much each of us really are reliant on the other, because the parts that you have and know go well with somebody else's truth, right? So we have to be lovingly accepting of one another, right?
I have a very provocative question. I know you're talking about the theory of everything, and to some extent trying to have individuals or cultures combining to come to this one type of unity.
Yeah.
But like, how do you see this playing out? I mean, we're from diverse backgrounds. Our DNAs make us different. Our very culture in terms of how we're raised makes us different. Even within the same culture, you have subcultures. So how do you justify the idea or the concept to have that oneness going forward? I mean, I'm just really curious. I mean, how do you reconcile that?
Okay. You've heard of the vibration of love?
Vibration of love. That's a very interesting use of words. I mean, I've never heard of it, but I'm certainly sure that I may have used it incidentally at some point in my life. You'd best be able to.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask you to ask me this question again, right after he hits live. Let me.
No, we are live.
Oh, we are live. Okay.
Yeah,
hello, everyone. Welcome to One Universe Movement. Our discussion started on Clubhouse, and we are live streaming on Facebook as well as YouTube. So the voices that you hear are the voices of folks on Clubhouse, and feel free to send in your questions as we move along. And we are hoping to be finished around 6ish. We know we got started a little late. We'll do better next time when we start again. Okay. So, what was the question again, Dr. Lati?
Yes, so I was really, I'm just a bit of a curious cat. Just wanted to find out, really, you spoke about the oneness of, in terms of the theory of everything. So I just wanted to find out, how do you reconcile the idea that you have different cultures And within that same culture, you have other subcultures within that culture. I mean, again, going back to not only our physical features are different down to our DNA, but also our cultures. So just wanted to find out, how do you reconcile that? How do you, think that? How do you play out?
Okay, so according to scriptures from the Christian concept, right? In the beginning, God said, let. So words are sounds or vibrations that create the words. Correct? Dr. Lati?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So vibration, when we talk about the vibration of love, that is integrated in the making of the entire universe. So throughout the universe, throughout our planet, and in our individual lives, we have what we call energy. Energy is basically vibration, right? The love vibration that we talk about is the concept of the divine, or the persistence of nature itself that wishes to keep itself alive, right? So when we say that love is stronger than everything else, it is the universe essence of or that power that wishes to keep itself alive, right? I see our as the entirety of creation is basically integrated into itself. Like, I can't live any differently than you are, in the concept that, not in the sense of self-sustaining and looking after my materialistic gains and whatnot, but in the sense of living and breathing, right? I cannot do that without you, right? Because we are all interdependent one on the other. The creatures, from the smallest creatures to the nothingness in the atmosphere, it's all integrated, right? So in accepting the differences between ourselves is understanding that you need those differences because of where you're at and how you were brought, or how your culture was designed to move to work within the universe. Are you following me so far, or am I losing you?
No, I'm listening keenly, actually.
Okay. All right. So in the modern,
I was just curious, and I'm sure that most of the audience would love to
to hear
see
that,
where
this comes. Okay, so in the modern world, right, we only educate for. They say that we only educate for verbal and cognitive intelligence, right? So what about the spiritual? And how much of the spiritual are we really learning in our different modems of belief, or are we just regurgitating the words of our spiritual leaders? For the Christians it's Christ, for Muhammad, for the Muslims it's I forget his name. I can't believe this. Muhammad. Yes. I can't believe this. I am sorry, my fellow. Right? So for whoever it is that you're destined to follow, right? Are you only repeating his words, or are you actually implying them and practicing them to the level that you are able to make positive moves in the community? Because when power is the idea of living for the community at large, right? When we're doing for other people, or living for the betterment of our universe, it's much better than if we are living solely for ourselves and our immediate family, right? when you're living for your immediate family, there are things that you might be more prone to do that may seem powerful to other people, but it's actually you might find yourself being more abusive than loving. Right? Love is going to push you to be more mindful of everything else and everyone else around you. Okay, so to get back to the reason why we are here today is to discuss the Fed system, or what I call the Fed system. And the Fed system is based on fear, envy, and distrust. Dr. Lati, when in thinking of your particular religious beliefs, and you don't have to define what that is, but how would you say that you see fear being practiced within religious organizations today? And before you answer, please introduce yourself, as we are live now and folks might not know who you are.
Oh yeah, thank you, Lavern. Well, I am Dr. Lati. My area of expertise is really in chemical engineering, and then one would ask, how is it that the chemical engineering is intertwined or associated with religious beliefs? It's because I think all things work on a system. So regardless if it's the physical phenomena, it works on a system. Then it goes back to practices. All things that you see are actually systems. With that said, that's why I'm a very curious individual about the arts as well as the sciences and engineering, of course. So how do I guess your question is really about fear playing out into my religious beliefs. For me, fear is actually really submitting. So in all actuality, fear is really what you submit yourself to. Just to define my religious beliefs as a very tiny knot, my belief about fear, my submission, is really that person or that thing that you've put in front of you. For me, that has to be God. Again, within the scope of Christianity, as I would identify myself, there are different definitions of what fear really is. And that goes, of course, to misunderstanding of the Bible itself, misunderstanding of the Word of God, and so forth. So, but in essence, for the practice of Christianity, or the practice to become Christ-like, the fear is really submitting to a higher authority.
Okay, so you believe that if we do not submit to a higher authority, or let me see if I get this right. You believe that if we're submitting to a higher authority, fear is not something you worry about?
Yes, I totally do not worry about fear when I'm submitting to a higher authority better than myself. And I'm not speaking on a submitting to human, but submitting to God himself.
Okay. So, in the concept of fear, right? I have, for some reason or other, put you into a position where I am, say, putting the fear of God in you. causing you to suffer more than you would normally on a normal any day type thing, right? Are you saying that you would not be fearful of what the physical punishment your body is enduring?
And it's through growing up, been seeing my years of experience. I recognize that a lot of things that has there's for everything there's always this good side to it and there's this bad side. In other words, there's a positive and there's a negative side to anything that happens. Whatever system it is, whatever motion it is, there's always this positive and there's always this negative side. So, for example, one would say, okay, a tree, you plant a new seed. That seed has to die before there's a new tree. And if you look at it, a seed has lost its life. There's a new tree that comes forth. So a lot of things, even though they have their negative parts of them, they're also positives. And in Christianity, in the practice of being Christ-like, that's a very thing that is thought about, something called long suffering, and through suffering, a lot of time you would understand what it means to be patient, and this is purely coming from the Word of God. I find it to be truth in its entirety. That suffering, even though you might have afflictions from the physical side, there's a spiritual side to it that brings out patience.
Okay. In this era where we're feeling a lot of fear, how does that play out on it? Because in today's confined situation of lockdowns and whatnot, just if you're taking the public transportation, you will find that the energies on the public transportation versus taking private transportation is drastic. The enormity of.
Are you talking about the impact of COVID at all, or you're just?
Yes,
and
I'm combining. I'm combining the fear tactics around COVID that people have on their shoulders. Both believers and non-believers, by the way, are walking around with. Right, so when you step into
again, let's say if I go back, I don't mean to cut you, but if I go back to what my definition of fear was, submitting it again, if you're gonna be going around on the buses in the towns, and I know that right now there's a negative energy that is still going on since the pandemic, but again, you could go out and still be happy, be joyful, because of what you're submitting to.
Okay.
So if you're gonna be a worrying person, I'm sure that is gonna definitely have a negative impact on your life. And instead of going out to enjoy the day, you go out and it becomes a burden to actually go outside.
Well, that is true. Surrender, are you here?
Yes.
Yes. How? What would you like to contribute to the conversation around fear?
Wow. What you just said right now, you're putting yourself in a cave because you're afraid, right? You're afraid of going outside because you're gonna catch COVID. And you're no longer enjoying your life to the fullest because of what's happening right now. So I believe that if you put first what you believed in and try all your best to just protect yourself and put first what you believed in, if I'm going to go outside and I'm going to live my life, I'm going to be happy, and then just put fear at the back of your head, it's not like ignore that it's not there and be positive that God will protect you in whatever way. It's like driving a car. Oh well, I take it like driving a car. There's a lot of things that can happen in a second while driving a car, right?
Yes.
If you have fear, you won't be able to move that car. I believe if you are afraid, you won't be able to move that car. So that's how I take my belief, and as a Christian as well, Paul, that I have no fear. God is with me. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Surrender, for that. Okay, so I'm going to move the conversation along to discussing envy, which is the second part of the tool of separation, right? How is envy showing up in your lives, right? In the sense that you might see, is there a good, or let me ask it this way, is there a good way to be envious versus a negative way of being envious? And what causes envy to separate you from, not necessarily you in person, particularly you directly yourself, but the you as in the larger you, right? What causes envy to separate you from someone who you are envious of? What is the dynamics of that behavior?
Well, I can I jump in and say something about envy?
Sure.
Based on my experience, and I'm speaking about my experience now, coming purely from the Bible, of understanding what it means to not covet your neighbor. I think it's a very great principle. I'm from the islands, right? So I'm from Jamaica, where you're lined up to run a 100-meter race, and if you want to reach that finish line, you have to stay in your lane. So, I don't think there's anything positive can come out of envy unless the Lord has His way inside of it. I'm not, when I say the Lord has His way inside of it, it's not that He's agreeing with you. It's just that based on His mercy, He might just make something good come of it for you. But there's no positive that comes from being envious.
So are you saying that I can't look at your let's say for your
you can look in admiration.
Yeah.
Admiration is a different thing from being envious.
Well, according to the Lynch theory, right? He specifically said that envy was greater than admiration or adulation and respect.
Exactly. If you want to make two people upset, and there is the idea of envy, what that will do is rob the individual who is going to be the victim. You're going to have a victim, and then you're going to have that person who's going to pursue the envy. Admiration adds edification, but envy brings strife. And so if you're speaking about the Willow Lynch approach, then definitely it would cause a lot of strife.
Why?
In that regard.
Why?
You're asking why?
Yes. Yes, I'm asking you to tell us why. Not that I don't know why, but I'd like for you to share with us why you believe this is the case.
Okay, well, I like to look at it like this, right? If we're going back to biblical terms now, and that's why I think the Bible is so profound and the Word of God is so profound. If it says that the Bible says to love your neighbor as yourself, and you can't seem to do that, obviously there is going to be some level of envy. And if you can't love the next person, it simply means that you're going to loathe at them. It's going to be some form of hate. it cannot be a stable balance. So in a normal ecosystem, if everything is going accordingly, the river is flowing down the hill and not up the hill, everything is in balance. The moment there's an individual that has envy in that heart, now there is an upset. And so in that case, it has to be a lot of strife. Not sure if that answers your question. Sure, Surrender might have something different to say.
Yes, Surrender, I'd like for you to go before I say anything, because you're going to probably want to get at me for what I'm about to say. So go ahead, Surrender.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Is it envy you're talking about, right?
Yes, envy.
There's a good envy, or there's
yes.
white envy and black envy? You can take it from there. I believe that it's in human nature, right? For one to just see somebody with something and you just react to it. But it depends on how you react to it. The actions that you take after that feeling came into you after you saw whatever you saw or what's happening around you. So it's how you react to it and which action you take that determines whether it is from the black envy or the white envy. I'll put it like that. When I'm making noise. So yeah, in a religious way, because the Bible tells us not to be envious, right? To love one another as you will love yourself. But it's so hard. To me, I find it like that, but I do, if you have love to share with one another, if you love yourself, then you should be able to love other people. That's all. Surrender. I might add something. When you go back to, I'm going to, for those who are aware of the Bible, are somewhat aware of the words of God, there's this thing that says also that to love God, the first the commandment that precedes that would say, love God first. So in order to really love your neighbor, you can't do it by your own means. That hard thing that you're speaking about. You first need to love God, and before you love anything else or anyone, if you love God first, you would understand how to love. So now loving your neighbor would be really, really easy, and therefore strife, envy, those things wouldn't necessarily creep into you because you understand what love is from God's perspective. From God. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. In the growing up, right, in the growing up state of man, I believe it is possible to so-called envy in light and envy in the shadow. The two do not look the same, right? We use different words for it, but we'd say it's admiration, but it's really that brother so-and-so or sister so-and-so drives a really nice car, and I don't have what it takes to get that car, or I believe that I don't have what it takes to get that car. But one thing I do have is faith that eventually I will get that car. Is that not envy? I might not go after brother so-and-so, right? In a negative concept, but every time they pass by, my heart feels a certain kind of way because I wish that I had that car and not them. Right? It's the same concept of I'm not happy with my nose, or I'm not happy with my weight, like yes, like sister. Hold on, one second. Like my sister and friend over here said, her name's Karama. I'm calling her out. Yes. So Karama would tell me that I envy her small petite body, and I do, but I don't want to do the work to get that body. It's too much work to get down that far. Right. But you understand what I'm saying? These are things that we do every day.
There's a very thin line, right? Looking at the neighbor's car and wishing that you'd have it, not feeling any form of bad way that your neighbor shouldn't have it.
Yes.
So instead, I should have it, and my neighbor shouldn't have it. That's obvious. But if he said, my neighbor has it, I would like to have it too.
One day.
And I have no negative feeling towards my neighbor. That's admiration. And so it's admiration. It's like it's a good thing to admire.
Okay, so why is envy stronger than admiration? Why does society view envy as being stronger than admiration and respect? Why?
Because people are wicked.
People are what?
I wouldn't say it's stronger. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, humans sometimes they are just too jealous. I think it's jealous and maybe not believing in themselves. So whenever they see somebody else with whatever they want, and then they're not wishing them well or believing that one day or having faith that one day they will also have it. So rejoice with those that are rejoicing, so that one day they will rejoice with you. They will rejoice with you. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that envy is stronger any at all. It's like this, right? Envy is more obvious because it's
in your face.
Yeah.
It's like a stream flowing nicely down the street, and every day it's just nice and tranquil and it's quiet. But the moment the rain falls heavy, it's all over the place, right?
Yeah.
So it's just that envy is more obvious, and it's just an indication to you to say that you need to fix something. So it's not a stronger thing. It's actually a weaker thing.
I'm glad you said that.
Much weaker. Yeah, and it's an indication to fix something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good one.
All right. So with envy comes distrust.
Of course.
Right? So yes, so how is distrust impacting our many different way of life, of believing and acceptance of one another's faith practices in such a way? How is this distrust showing up? Hello?
Yeah.
Go
ahead, start it down.
Wow. If you don't, I believe like if you don't trust yourself, I don't know. If you're not truthful, you will walk around thinking that everybody is the same like you. Right? Oh my gosh.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Yeah. I'm distracted. The kids. They need me.
Tell them that I'm coming to bring the cat just now if he behaves himself. I'm gonna bring the cat by if they behave themselves.
Yeah, that's nice. So for me, how does distrust, envy, all the distrust? Okay, so let's go back to the principle of that stream that's flowing steadily.
Okay.
If you upset something, there becomes an imbalance, and there is more than one thing that is going to be happening when you have an imbalance.
Yeah.
You could have the water now starting to come over into the crops, reaping up that crops that are just there, just these young beautiful crops that are ready to grow. And so it's the same thing. When you have one part of you that is unsettled, it continues on. It's like a poison. So
fear,
not until you...
Let me see if I help you out here. So fear steps in and creates the disruption.
That's correct. That is correct.
Right. And with that disruption comes the envy, because now you're envying where the non-disruptive stuff is.
Yes, okay. That is correct.
And now you're distrusting everything around you and everybody around you.
Yeah. So one, and I'm going to go back biblically. I'm going to go back to the Bible. For those who are aware of some of the words of God, and for those who are not aware, it's I hope you may be able to hear some of the word that I'm saying. That level of it goes back to what Christ was saying. If there's something that is made perfect, and you have upset that perfectness, automatically what happened is that it becomes sick or ill. And sickness it manifests in different ways. So it's not that envy is much different from distrust. It's coming from the same strain. It's just a different way of expressing it.
I hear you.
Yeah, it's just a different way of putting that out there. So, again, I know, I'm not sure if just going back to your topic of Bullying, psychology, and religion, I'm not sure as to how, you plan on playing this out, but
okay,
going back to your topic.
Yes.
Going back to your topic, I'm just trying to.
So here's how I saw that, right? 2021, the 21st century, and we have people of the same faith. We still have religious structures who say that the blacks should worship by themselves and the white people worship by themselves. That to me is straight from the Fed system, and it's been over 300 years. So Lynch so far has been proven to be correct. It's going to last 300 years, up to 1,000, he said. Now, if we do not start discussing how to break free of this Fed system, of the fear, envy, and distrust system, out of our vocabulary, out of our behavior, out of our practices, from the religious perspective, then Lynch is going to be more than correct, because it will surpass 300 years, well past 1,000 years, well past, right? Because I say that because religion, regardless of what culture you're from, religion is a huge educational tool in our community. It's a place that we go to for safety. So if this safety mechanisms, our safety organizations are teaching us to keep our indifferences and to continue to mistrust, then the Fed system is going nowhere. It's only going to continue to grow stronger and stronger, right? So let's say that I went into a Pentecost religion, and I am Muslim, and I am, let's say, Asian culture. You look at my straight hair and my hijab, and I might want to say something, but I'm going to be told that I can't go under rostrum to speak, because that is not going to happen, because you are Christian and you are not. We are Christian and you are not, kind of thing, right? So we're not at that place yet where we're sitting and listening for the basis of agreement. We are only looking at the indifferences. If I, as a black woman, joined the Muslim faith, and they are mostly Asian in that congregation. I am the one that's going to be scorned because I am black and not of their skin color or born in their culture, right? The same thing holds true for the community of African and Caribbeans. Yes, we've been working very intently at correcting some of the measures of how we look at each other, but so far we've been doing a good job, yes, but that is still evident when you're speaking to some Caribbean people and some African people. You still get that, that little push of you're different, stay in your corner, stay in your lane, don't come over here. We're better over here without you coming over here and trying to mingle into what we have, right? And we see these play out in all these different forms of little churches that pop up here and there, right? And these different churches are saying that they're better than the other one. And that was something that when I was growing up was instilled in you. If you are Baptist, or if you are Adventist, or if you're Church of God, everybody's got something that they felt that they're better than, right? When in fact everybody should be under the same governing principles. When you look at the different religious teachings and you look at the one principle surrounding the one person that they're all paying homage to, the principle has not changed. But when you spread out those principles and they add in all their rules and regiments that they want to, they make themselves different from the principle. So the fear, the envy, and the distrust is something that is pushed out front, not the principle that they're all adhering to. Yeah, hello? Have I lost you?
Yeah, no.
No, right here.
Yeah.
Well, just a very small commentary. I know time's going. With regards to how you've been describing, religion and within Christianity itself, how there's different denominations, and being a very persistent reader of the Bible, and when I say the Bible, I mean both Old and New Testament, the Bible as a whole. I've recognized that there is only one true way, and anything else other than that in serving God has become a doctrine that is not of God. With that said, I'm not saying that with the different denominations, what they're doing, will lead them away from the promises. I'm just saying that it's a house that is divided not because of any fault within the religion, but there's fault in man. When I say religion, I mean the love of God, the truth that is there in the Bible. It is a breakaway from the truth because of the fault that is in man. And I say this because there is a way to diligently seek God, and I believe that I know that His words are true. With that said, I'm just saying that if you become a diligent seeker of God, you will never depart from the truth. When you have departation of the truth, that's what you have happened. You have a lot of different breakages going all over. There should be one way. There should be one movement, one body, and that's what it should be. there shouldn't be different houses. And that's why, there's no color with God, because if there's no color, there's no different culture. There's only one single culture with God. Because if God has esteemed any race, any color, any culture above the next, He wouldn't have made so many different variations. So, just going back to a bit of commentary, that, it should be oneness. There's only one single truth about God. The churches should worship God a single way. There shouldn't be so much different denomination. There shouldn't be pointing of fingers when everyone is seem to be worshiping the same God. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. I agree with you in that. Yes, there'll be different denomination, but the practices in those different denomination should not veer so differently from the principles of God, or the principles of source, or the universe, whatever your like of
shouldn't vary any at
terminology.
all.
Exactly, because the
shouldn't vary
principles
any at
stand.
all. A cup of water will always be a cup of water. If you add a speck of a rum or a speck of a sugar or salt, that is not pure water anymore.
Correct.
I'm just saying that at the end of the day, there is one way to serve God. It should be one way, and there shouldn't be so many ways.
All right. So at this point, it's now 20 minutes after 6. So I am going to close out by thanking Dr. Clifford Latty for joining us so amicably on our first talk, and my wonderful neighbor, Ms. Surrender, who has been... Thank you very much for joining us, my dear.
No problem.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for the invitation.
Yes.
I look forward to more series. It was really lovely to hear your perspective on the Blood Lynch psychology and the concept that you have made known.
There's more to come. There's more to come. It's not.
Thank you also for your commentary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Doctor. Is it Dr. Lati?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I will never forget the river. That dream example is one of the best. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, I'm so happy that you have learned something new, and thank you for listening.
Yeah. So everyone.
Thank you, Lavern. It was really nice to hear you, and I hope your audience have a wonderful Sabbath as it comes up.
Yes.
So Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom to you too. Shabbat Shalom, Surrender.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Shalom.
Okay, bye. Shalom.
So with this, we close out and we say thank you very much for listening in, for those of you who are able to listen in, and we hope you'll join us again next Friday. Look out for the time, as we're going to try to be a little bit more inclusive by doing this after 7, possibly. So it'll give you a bit more time to settle in with your families. Next week, we'll continue looking further into more of the some of the principles that were set out in the Lynch theory that we still see in our surroundings today. God bless and keep. Shabbat Shalom to you.